Good morning and welcome back to Plannercraft. Sorry for the delayed start. I'm Natalie and I'm going to be taking you through doing a bit of print and cut work. Or in this case we're actually going to be doing some print and foil. So before we get too far, I'm going to allow a bit of time for everybody to catch up with where we are. It means we're slightly later starting.
Don't forget to say hello.
Hello to?
Nobody said hello yet.
Oh, nobody said hello.
Ah, there we go. Carol says morning and Beverly.
Hi Carol, hi Beverly.
Let me put up
I'll just wait for a few more people to join before I go running off ahead. So if you're wondering where the files are from, the links are in the group already. And I know quite a few of you have already bought the tags. And the flower download was a free download, so it's worth going back on the links to get that one. So the tags are from Design Bundles and the flowers are from Creative Fabrica off the top of my head. How are we doing?
Okay. Got 15, so.
Okay. Right, one of the first things I want to show you is importing an SVG into Affinity. So you may think that the way you go about it is you're going to go to File, Place, and then you would go to your SVG file. So in this case we'll go to Downloads and we'll go to Unlisting Shapes, SVG, and I'm going to bring one in just to show you what's going to come in as. Okay, you're going to click on your map and that's going to come in as the size that it is, so just a single click so that it comes in true to scale.
Okay. We have Linda, Sandra, Maya, I think, and Sylvia also joined us.
Hello. So obviously at this point this is seeing it as if it's just an image, which is going to be absolutely no good for our cutters whatsoever. So instead what you need to do is you actually need to open your document as a separate file. So just go to File, Open, and we'll go back to our tags, into the SVG folder, and we can open one of those. So let's go for the A2 rectangles. And you can see it comes in with all of our layers. So that's the kind of screen that you want to be able to see to be able to get to each individual group.
Diane's just on her way out, so she'll watch back later.
Okay, so I've used the tag and the circle, so you can see I've got both of those open. And you're going to put those into a new document, so let's take that out of the way. So there's our blank document. So you can choose the size tag that you want to work with. And let's go on.
We have Marion.
Let's go for this one. So when you're picking your tags, you're going to want to pick it up by the layer rather than an individual shape, because otherwise you're going to lose that link between the two. So if you do it by layer, then you can copy it. So Control C, Command C, and paste it. So Control V or Command V.
And Rachel says hi to you.
Hello.
I apologise if I miss any comments, because my computer is either being extremely dense or something is, because I'm only getting messages on one or the other, not both. So.
Okay. So if you
doing my
think,
best to keep up with messages,
yeah.
But if I do miss you, then I apologise.
And if you've got a question, you can always repost it if we do miss it. Okay, so we've got our first tag in, and I'm going to go to a circle next, and let's go for, I don't want it to be too big, but at the same point I want it to be big enough that I can put something on, so let's go for that size. So again we can copy it, and we can paste it in. Now at the moment you can see it's doing these as layers, but what we actually need to see it as is a group. So I'm going to take these two shapes and I'm going to take them outside of that layer. So it's just clicking and dragging so that it goes above. And then we can delete the layer. And we'll group those again. So the group is there so that your dashed lines don't change in their relationship to your outside cut line. So I'll do that again. Take the two shapes, drag it above, delete the layer, and group them back together.
That Carol says she's made it back in time for having no COVID, Jen.
Yay!
And Jen says morning as well.
So at this point I'm going to start two layers. So there's a little blank sheet icon just down at the bottom of your layers panel. And I think on most software it's down at the bottom, isn't it? For the layers.
Yeah.
Can't think of one that's up top, but off the top of my head. We're going to call the top one Cut, Stroke, Draw. So that's going to be the one that you want to send to your machine. And we're going to call the bottom one Print. Okay. So at the moment we can take our two tags and we can drop them straight into our cut draw layer if it'll let us, if it's going to behave. Come on. Does this at least once a time, doesn't it? Come on. Be nice. There we go. Oop. Give me that blue line. You almost wanted to do it then. There. And again. Come on. You can do it. Actually, if I drop that down, it might be. There we go. That'll be easier. So we can set those to cut and draw respectively, but what if we want to start putting in some actual colour information? So I'm going to drop down my tag group and I'm going to go to the solid shape. So that's the one with the red outline. I'm going to duplicate it, so Command J on a Mac, Control J on a PC, I believe. So that you should now have two copies of your tag. You're going to take this new copy, we're going to drag it down, and again I'll just drop it down below the print one for now. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my fill tool, which is just over here. It's the little round spectrum-y one. Or you can just press G. G works for most software, so even if you're not creating it in Designer, you can usually press G and you'll get your paint bucket of your software. And this time I'm going to go to Bitmap. So this feature is particularly unique to Affinity, the ability to put an image straight into a shape. So I'm going to go, let's go that one, there we go, and I put the little circle one in mine. Now, next important bit to learn. So one of the questions that we get quite often is, why do files come with so many different file types in? So JPEG is mainly for if you just want to do a print as is and you just want to print and click and forget. PNGs, however, have a transparent background, so that means that we can overlay them over other colours if we want to. So when I'm working with print and cut, I tend to stick to using the PNGs just so I have that option of popping in a colour underneath. So let's open that one. And that's going to pop it into my tag. So I'm just going to hide my cut draw layer at the moment. And we can see that we've got our image and it started to tile. Okay. But this time I'm actually going to tell it to not tile. So if we set that to 0, it's just going to put in 1. Okay. if we click on this centre circle here, we can actually drag it around our shape. So I'm going to drag it down towards the bottom.
You have Karen and Rachel also watching as well.
Cool.
They say good morning. Well, Karen says it's great to be watching you, and Rachel says good morning.
Morning. So if we drag our arms in, and I'm pressing and holding shift at the same time, so that's going to constrain it so it stays a circle. We can actually control how big we want that circle to appear on our tag.
I think I must have missed Thea, so say good morning to Thea as well.
Morning, Thea. Okay. So you should have something that looks a bit like this. Now if we turn our cut layer back on, we're going to suddenly lose our image, and that's because if we look in our preview here, you can see our original tag is coloured white. So there's a little swatch that has white with a red line through it, and that means no fill. So if we press that one, we can see our image underneath. Okay. So next, I'm going to work with our little round tag. So if we drop down our group so we can see our two pieces. So you can use your eyedropper to actually pick colours out of an image. So that means that when we're working with printing cut, we can keep everything in a similar colour palette. So again, I'm going to duplicate that circle. I'm going to drag it down. I'm going to hide the cut draw layer for a moment. I'm going to go to my eyedropper tool when my eyes stop messing me about. There we go. And we can click over our image. So let's pick, I want something a bit paler, so let's try that. Yeah. Okay. So if we put our cut draw layer back in, you can see we need to take that fill out of the tag the same way. So there you go. Now, if at the moment we were to send that to print and then cut it out, that cut line is literally sitting right on the edge of that pink line. So if you think about it, if your scan is even slightly out, you're going to get like a sliver of white around the edge, which isn't what we want. So what we can use is the new contour tool in Affinity, or if you're working with other software, you can use offset. Okay, and you can see it's going to go so that we've got this line round. What I will do, I'm just going to lock our cut draw layer for a moment because I don't want to accidentally change any of that. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag outwards. So with the mouse button still pressed, we're going to drag outwards. So that will take our shape outwards. If we go inwards, it's going to take it smaller. And I want it so it's just slightly bigger than our shape, like so. So that means as our blade goes round, even if we're slightly off, it's not going to hurt. Okay, so far so good. So next what I want to do is another little panel. So if I go back to my original, you can see I've done this little panel in here. And the reason that we've got this lovely red colour in the background is because we've used that PNG file to come in here. So I'm going to work in print there. And let's just draw a box.
It's alright, my computer was out of focus for ages, it's just gone back, sprung back into focus.
Okay, I'm sure that's just your computer
It
though.
is my computer, yeah, it's not the stream, it's my computer being my computer today.
Okay, so I'm going to go to my colour picker tool. And this time I'm going to go for a nice dark red. Like so. Then we can go back to our fill tool. And let's go for Bitmap. And this time I did it with a different file, so let's go for that one. we go. So let's go for, this is where we can start to play with our shape to get it so that we're happy. And I'm going to turn off that repeat again, just because I don't want this random bit happening up here. Okay, just going to duplicate that, just because I want that red colour to appear underneath. If we go just here next to this icon, you can see we've got another version of the eyedropper, and we can drag that over and we'll actually get an enlarged version of the image, so we can actually pick right down to the individual pixel of the colour that we want to put in. So let's go there, and then if you click on it, it's going to apply it. So I'll do that again. So click drag from that eyedropper tool, and I'm going to go a little bit darker than that, I think there. Nope, it's going to be dense. Come on, I want the dark bit. Go on, in there. There we go. That'll do. Okay. And we'll use that same colour to do a heart. Okay, so same again. If we were to just pop and put this in the print as is, then it's going to be literally cutting around that edge, so we might get a little bit of a white line showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that into my cut draw layer, even though it's still got that colour in. I'm going to duplicate it, so Command J or Control J, drag it down to my print, shrink that one up for a minute, and then we can go to that contour tool and take that outwards to do our bleed, and go back to our cut draw one. We just need to type no stroke, and there we go. So no fill, no stroke of minimal amount. So when it comes to stroke weights in Affinity or any other program, it means absolutely nothing to your machine. So it's not a case of it's going to go around the inside and outside of the stroke, it's just going to go straight down the middle. So now I think it would be good to put another little hole just in there. So I actually pinched this from the tag. So if we go, I'm just going to unlock that there for a minute. I'm going to duplicate that tag shape. I'm going to press A so that gets my node tool. And I'm going to highlight the outside nodes. They turn blue. And I'm going to hit backspace. So you can see now I have a circle, and I know it's exactly the same as the one in the tag. I can use my arrow keys, so I'm pressing shift and the right arrow key to take it across. And that's easier when you're working with a shape that is slightly smaller. I'm going to line that up into my tag. I can move that down into this group now. And we could have actually gone to the point of where we actually subtracted that hole from the tag and then use that tag to do the centre circle, but it's not going to make any difference when it comes to this amount here. And if you want to pop in a little heart aperture, you can do. Your choice.
Tracy's trying to fix this sublimation print to do Rise You Alive.
Ah.
And so lives this morning on.
Okay, so I can take that same circle and I'm going to apply that to my heart as well. So you can see now why I really intended to do this last week, because it's a bit more of a Valentine's one, but we just didn't get there, did we, sweetie?
No, it was a stressful week, wasn't it?
Yeah, there we go. So I now have one for my heart too, so now I can group those together. Okay, and we still need to do a cut line for this rectangle as well. So I'm actually going to do this freehand, so we can just pop in a rectangle like so. So this is going to be for a decorative panel. So if snapping's annoying you, if you press and hold Alt, it's actually just going to ignore that snapping. Okay, and put it up there in our cut draw layer, which is right where we want it. Now let's put these bits into this print there, if it'll let us. Come on, there we go. Wrong one. Come on. There we go, in there. And pop that underneath there, because we want our colour to be underneath. With everything else, it doesn't really matter about order, because they don't overlap. So they're all in there. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of ways that we can use foiling with our design. So I'm going to start a new layer and I'm going to call that foil. Now what I'll show you later is, if you haven't done this step, how you can go back and do it after when you've already got your print. So I'm going to zoom in, because it's easier to do these things when you can see them. And then I'm going to use a pen tool to actually apply some foil to our lines. Now you don't have to have this absolutely spot on with this design, particularly with the circle where you've got multitude of lines going on, but as close to would be good. So we're going to start off with our pen tool. We're going to click to start our line. We're going to come halfway along the line and we're going to click and drag. Okay. And you want your space between where your line should be and your handle to be about equal on both sides. So if you look at the little pointy out bits that come out from that centre node, that's your handles. Okay, and then we're going to click just there. Now you could do it all as one circle, but then you're going to go straight for your flowers, so I didn't want to do that. I just want to do a little bit so we get a hint of that foil running through, but without going over our leaves and flowers. So if we press V and click off it, so that we know that that's our first line done. Okay, press P again to reactivate that pen tool. So I'm going to click, drag to get those handles, and click, press V, click off. So when we're clicking off, ideally you want to make sure that you're not clicking on anything else. So if you go over to this side here, so click, drag. And the other thing to bear in mind that I want to show you is that you don't have to worry about getting it right first time. So if you need to readjust where your node goes, can do. And they're worth practicing. A lot.
I can hear Carol cursing, but no, not
No, not nodes. Okay, so I'm roughly aiming for about the centre of the line, but if it's slightly off it won't matter too much because you'll still get that hint of a gold colour either way. So again, this one's playing up slightly, so I'm just going to press the Alt key so it's not going to try and snap to anything else, then let go once you've clicked, and we can do a little click drag because it's this little tiny curve in here. Okay, and press V, click off. Now that we've got to this bit, we can actually just do single little lines. So again, okay. Now we've got a nice big section to work on. So, if you're working on something big like this, you want to try and keep it to as few nodes as possible. So, we'll just go like so.
That's going to look awesome.
Now, if you forget to click off, it's going to try and connect that line. So that's why we tell you to do that click off, so that it doesn't automatically try and be clever.
Oh dear.
What's that?
Maggie's watching you bits this morning. She's having a gas meter moved. Says she'll watch it again later. Good job it's not so cold. They've disconnected her gas supply.
Ooh.
I don't know. Blooming gas man.
Okay, so this one we can see that where I've placed the node isn't quite right, so I'm just going to put it back along that line. And we can shrink the handle. And we'll shrink the handle this end too. There we go. And we'll click off.
Carol says she's in awe of what you're doing. Carol's something to
Nodes are worth practicing because everything is nodes essentially when it comes to the scan and cut. And it's just all practice and learning how they move. So like for instance, we can see that this one here goes way too far, so we can pull that back and we can shrink these handles. So in there, in there, and we can adjust that angle if we need to.
Oh dear. Hazel's trying to watch from South Africa, but she's struggling with power.
Oh. So again, it's trying to be a little bit clever, so I'm just going to press that Alt key. There we go. Do a little bit of a click and drag to be click on something else. When you're working really close, sometimes it's hard to find what to click to, so you end up using your layers panel a bit more. So there's some bits I don't mind putting behind the foil. So I'm just going to do that. And then if you need to move things while they're still blue, you can actually use your arrow keys to get them where you want to go. I'm doing this just for speed, but you can do all the little bits that go between each of these branches if you want to. I'm going to put a little bit just in there. Don't get concerned about the fact that these look like they're different line weights. They're not. It's just because of how Preview scales it to fit it in that box. Okay. I'm just going to do a little bit more down here. And you'll find that the more you practice with the node tool, the quicker you'll get. So if you're thinking, Natalie, you're going really, really fast there, you will get used to being that fast. It's just practice. Isn't it, Ian?
Mm. It certainly is. It's like anything though, isn't it? The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah. The other thing to note is that I'm only doing it with single lines, so I'm not worrying about filling that line. You just, because it's so thin when it's printed anyway, by doing that single line, you're actually going to have a neater finish than if you try to fill it. So again, I can nudge that with the keys if I want to. Now, let's say we want to do an area that's a bit bigger. So with something where we've got thicker lines, then we can start worrying about shapes and filling. But these are also much quicker to draw. So we're going to go click. Oh, make sure you don't forget to change that, just in case. Okay, so we're going to go click, 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 click. And when we're clicking rather than click dragging, we're creating those corner points, so you know you're going to have a nice, neat outline. Okay. So I'm going to do the same for our outside line. So let's go from here, click, click, click. Now we're going to go to this point, click, click. And remember, again, all this is editable. And we're going to go down to here. Now at this point we can turn around and we can finish off this line. So if I zoom in a bit, so that's going to go there. We're going to go there. We're going to go back on ourselves around the tip of that leaf into this corner point. Okay. I'm going to press and hold Alt because it's trying to snap, but I want to get it into that corner there. Down, so we're doing that line there. Down to this point here. Back up. So each time, all I'm doing is just clicking. So there's no click dragging for this one. It's all perfectly straight. Until this little leaf curve just here. There we go. So at this point then I would go back and just check that all my nodes are exactly where they need to be. And I usually do all my tweaking for positioning using my keyboard keys rather than trying to do it with the mouse. It's just that little bit more accurate. Now the other thing to bear in mind is that when your foil coil's following these lines, it's going to follow it, so it's going to go along the centre of that line. So just bear in mind when you're going around this edge that your foil's actually going to go slightly over that shape. I'm going to go back to this one just to sort out that little node just in there. So now we need to do this little shape in here. So click, click, click and click. Okay. Now if we fill those shapes in, let's get all of them, that one included, there we go. And let's go for something that's going to be really obvious to be seen. So usually, yeah, go to the opposite. So we're going to go to green, and you can see then that our shape has lost these shapes in here, but they're still here. So what I want to do is take this one, we're going to pop it to the back of the three shapes. So now we can see our inside shapes. We're going to select our three shapes, and we can go up to layer, geometry, and we're going to do subtract compound. Okay, so that's going to pop our holes back through. Nice and easy. So then we just need to finish off the rest of those shapes. So rather than me taking up the rest of your morning showing you that bit when I've kind of shown you that, what you're going to want to do next, once you've finished doing all the foiling design, if we just shrink that up, I'm going to go back to my cut draw layer, put in a new layer just above it, and we're going to call this one registration. So this is the only one that appears on everything when we come to export it. Now with registration marks you have two options. You could just do a little right angle path if you want to, or you can use squares. So I'm just going to use the little right angle path. So I'm just going to go to my pen tool. And you want to keep your registration marks so they're within your print area. And I'm just pressing and holding shift, that's going to constrain it to a right angle. And I'm going to make it a little bit stronger than that, just so it's easier to see on the scanner. Okay. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same again. So press and hold shift. And click off it, and down the bottom too. Click off it, and one last one. There we go. So we've now done adding on foil, we've done our registration marks, we've done our cut draw lines, and we've done our bleeds for our print. So I will pop a copy up of this one so you can take it to pieces and have a look, see how it's all done.
You're exporting it ready for later.
Or shall I do that later? Ready so everybody can catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, I'll show that later, how to do the print.
Say about extension competition.
Alright, yes. Our challenge has been extended to the end of the month just so that we can have a few more people enter. It would be good to see everybody joining in. So that's to create the cover for the technique manual.
Sandra's asked, do the registration marks need to be put in individually? You wouldn't be able to copy and paste.
Yep, you can copy and paste if you want to. They're there just for your reference, so it's not like the machine can automatically scan them, unfortunately, at this time. If you have the scan and cut link for Illustrator and you're using that, you can get that to put registration marks in instead of you doing it yourself. And then you can use the automatic function.
And Linda's asked, there are a couple of designs that I'd like to purchase from Design Bundles and Creative Fabrica. Do you have an affiliate link, please? Yes, I'll send you one in a private message, Linda.
Yeah.
That you can use.
Yep, every little helps.
It does, yes.
And it means that I can it usually gets spent on getting more files, doesn't it? If I'm honest.
You don't take it out anymore, you just get spent in
with something else to play with. Okay, so I'll save this as a Affinity Designer file. So let's go to Save As. And I'm going to pop that in there. So, print and cut V2.
Tracy, can we recreate our technique journal if we aren't happy with it?
Yes.
Of course you can.
Of course you can.
It's your journal at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yep. So this is another technique to go in your technique manual as well. So this is print, cut and foil. And you can even choose to draw elements as well if you want to. Shall I very quickly do the Svg export?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll hide the print layer. So apart from the print layer, everything else you'll want to put in your Svg.
That's right, Carol.
So if we go to export, Svg, I've got my scan and cut preset. If anybody hasn't done the scan and cut preset yet for Affinity, do let me know and I will pop up a copy. And we'll go export. And back to the same folder. And I'll put that as cut file. So you can see in this view just how tiny those little lines really are. Okay, anything else that I was going to show? That's probably it.
That's probably it, yeah.
So take care. I'll pop those up on the group. I'm just wondering if I could do it in... If you need it in any other program, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. And we'll be back at 7.
Yeah. Just remind people we are back at 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, so it's 7 o'clock tonight.
UK
and then,
time.
yeah, UK time. And then 7 o'clock tomorrow as well, isn't it? We're going.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So tomorrow we're doing pen tool in canvas. So take care for now and bye.